So Kai Bax is a member of Agency Incubator as well as Copy Paste Agency. He is killing it with his agency right now, doing around 25,000 a month, servicing e-commerce clients, mainly in the US, a bit in the UK, as well as one client in Australia. But yeah, been meaning to get him on to a student interview for a long time. So with no further ado, let's roll into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another student interview. We are here with Kai Bax. He is a member of Agency Incubator, now Copy Paste Agency as well. Big thank you for staying up. I know it's a little later out there in Australia, but yeah, congrats on the new client on Friday.
Appreciate it.
Leads me into asking, yeah, just tell us a little bit more about your agency, where it's at, who you serve, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, as you kind of touched on, signed on a new client for my e-commerce mainly, starting to bring on a few info product clients here and there, but it's really mainly an e-com agency. Actually started out in the real estate niche way back when, but just kind of didn't really do anything for me, like I didn't have that oomph about it. I just didn't really enjoy doing the service delivery side and all that type of stuff. So yeah, transitioned into the e-com space and whatnot, and currently at like 25K a month. And yeah, it's going well. So much prefer the e-com niche for sure.
So you transitioned from real estate. So how long were you in real estate for?
It was probably like my first 3 months of like my SMMA journey, Got I think 2 clients, very, very small. I think they were like 1,000 each. But it was enough for me to realize I thought initially it could have been like the business model. But then I kind of quickly realized that it was more so like the clients I was working with and optimizing for leads and kind of the whole, and obviously back then I wasn't as experienced, so I didn't really understand or know how to build out kind of, if there was any way for me to help them convert the lead. So I was kind of just putting it all in their hands, and I didn't like that. I wanted it to be more in control. And I knew that obviously e-com, it's, you're pretty much fully in control. Obviously you got the website and whatnot, but pretty much fully in control. So that's what got me into it. And then I realized it just suited me a lot better. And I was able to scale up a lot quicker and just, all around be a lot more successful in it. And then obviously now I'm helping with the optimization of websites and whatnot, giving them resources and stuff like that to help them convert the leads or, the traffic that I'm pushing. But yeah, all in all, I'll prefer it a lot more.
So how long have you had an agency for at this point?
Probably I've probably had an agency legit for probably anywhere from 10 to 12 months, but I've been dabbling in it for a year and a half, probably 2 years, maybe.
So you transitioned to e-commerce after 3 months. You said that you mentioned you do e-com and info product. What are the main differences you see when working with an e-commerce client versus an info product client?
I've always been more e-com, so that's kind of my, bread and butter, if you like, that's just what I'm used to. So with info product, definitely I transition into it more so now, bringing on a few clients here and there. Main differences is obviously ROAS I personally see with my clients, it's somewhat lower, but obviously given the, kind of no cost associated to what they're doing, it kind of evens out, But for us, I find that our results are better with e-commerce for the most part. I think it's just because we've got more experience with it, and my new team member that I brought on board, I was telling you about before, he's kind of more tailored to e-commerce. So we just naturally get better results for e-commerce. But yeah, info product, we're still getting good results and whatnot, but obviously overall ROAS is a lot lower. So that's kind of the main difference. I just see e-com is just doing, at least across my clients, we're always doing a lot better.
So what does the main sort of payment structure look like with your clients? Is it base plus ROAS, performance only, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, it's always been more just base. We've always just gone this is how much it is per month, just flat fee. But over the past, I'd say month to 2 months, we've really got our service delivery side dialed in. So we kind of know, we can kind of almost predict the results we're going to get. So now moving forward, we're going more into ROAS because, as I say, we kind of know how much we're going to be, rough estimates, I can kind of look at a brand now and see like how everything's going, especially once we're on the discovery call with them as well, and kind of see this, you know, we'll maybe be able to make this client 100K, this client maybe, you know, whatever, 30, 50K, whatever. So because of that, now I'm kind of doing more ROAS deals, because obviously overall we can make more. But as of right now, it's more flat fee, because that's what I've been doing for the past, you know, like I say, past like year, it's been more flat fee based. But definitely moving forward, I think that'll start to change up now that we know exactly kind of the results that we can deliver. And that's something that I've always wanted to get to before I start doing ROAS, because I thought, if you don't know your service delivery side and how valuable that is, you could somewhat end up losing out on money if you can't get them good results, you know? So yeah, moving forward, now that I know, I'll definitely be moving towards the ROAS side.
So when you're on a call with an e-commerce owner, how do you go about pricing?
So I go based off of how much they say like beforehand, you know, and like how much they're making per month and whatnot. I look at that, and I also look at the logistics as well. So like if a client's got a higher profit margin on each product that they sell or whatever, obviously I know I can kind of charge them more because they're making more. So like it makes sense for both of us, you know, we can charge more, but they'll still be making a lot. Whereas with the clients where it's slightly, you know, thinner margins, I like to kind of lower my price slightly, because I know it's going to be harder for them to still make a profit, you know. And at the end of the day, I always look at, you know, is the client actually winning, you know? So it just doesn't make sense for me to charge a client with say like 30% profit margins, like 5K a month, and then go ahead and charge a client with 60% profit margins, that same amount, you know? So that's kind of like how I look at it mainly. And then I also like to just see like what makes sense for the client, as I say, in terms of what they're currently making per month as well. Obviously a client who's making 30K a month, I charge differently to a client who's making 200K a month.
Understood. And you mentioned there that you have a team member. Do you want to talk about a little bit about your evolution with your agency and how at every stage, how many team members you brought on, how many team members you had, and at what point you decided you need to bring on someone else?
Yeah, for sure. So I went about it in a way that like anybody listening, I really don't recommend you do this. So I got up until 10 clients with my agency, and I was just doing it all myself. And as I touched on before, like I was just being very naive. I thought I could wear all the hats, I could do everything. And I could quite comfortably up until, like, I'll be honest, like 4 clients, 5 clients. I was like, yeah, this is fine. But then I got a bit complacent. I thought, no, I can do this. You know, why pay somebody else when I can just keep all the profit, do everything myself? So I got to 10 clients. And then it was at that point, I was like, it wasn't like I couldn't, you know, I was able to get good results, but because there was so many clients, I just couldn't physically get to all the clients and deliver the best services possible. So it was at that point that I started to lose clients, which obviously resulted in me losing money each month. And then it was that was my turning point where I was like, okay, let's not bring on any more clients. Let's focus on bringing on a team member. So yeah, like I say, really the start of this year, I've really just been looking at finding that kind of, you know, perfect team member to bring on board, because I really only want to try and bring, like, you know, one team member on board for the next however long in my agency, you know. So that's what I've been focusing on. And as I say, now it's at this point that I've brought somebody on board so I can comfortably scale, but still serve clients in the best way possible as well, even at the scaled kind of rate, you know. So that's kind of at the point that I brought somebody on board. But yeah.
So this team member, they're a performance marketer.
Uh-huh.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, media buyer.
Yeah. So now let's swing over to outreach and getting clients. How are you getting most of your meetings these days?
So I've always done like email outreach, and I've had like email structures and whatnot. That's kind of been my forte, if you like. That's really how I got my first like 6 to 7 clients. And then at that point, once I started to have clients on board, I also obviously was getting good results and whatnot. So it was at that point that I started to also leverage Facebook. So I kind of built, quote unquote, a personal brand on Facebook, if you like, where I posted on my personal feed, really just clean that up. And then also leverage groups as well. And that's something that really enabled me to kind of scale without kind of going, you know, without scaling outreach, instead of, you know, like to get to the next level, quote unquote, sending out even more emails, you know, kind of, because that Facebook method, if you like, kind of provides you with inbound leads. So that's how I started to also transition to bringing on clients as I got, as I say, to like anywhere from like 6 to 7 clients from pure cold outreach. I started to transition to that kind of more inbound method through Facebook groups. And that's what's got me from that point to like where I am now. And actually the client that I signed the other day was through Facebook.
That's awesome. Well,
yeah.
Kai, tell me, what does a normal day-to-day in your life look like as an agency owner?
It's not been the most exciting just recently, because as I say, I've just been really like going through like vetting people to bring on board and whatnot. But yeah, like I wake up I don't want to get too granular, but wake up like 6:30, go to the gym, come home, and then get to my desk anywhere from like 8 to 9. I'm a bit sloppy with my set times and whatnot, but yeah, anywhere from like 8 to 9. And then always like to try and do outreach and kind of focus on that side, get something done on that side of the business, each day. I like to focus like 2 to 3 hours per day, whether it's building out copy for like posts in groups, or whether it's like physical outreach, or, finding leads and whatnot. And then also have a daily call with my media buyer as well, to just make sure that like everything's, we know where everything's at and whatnot. And then, I like to look in the ad account as well. I like to be very hands-on. Given that I've got to 10 clients on my own. So, I like to be hands-on, making sure everything's, converting in the ad account and all that type of stuff. But yeah, that's basically it. It's not, as I know you always say, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's good when you enjoy it. Yeah, that's it.
You mentioned vetting there. How many people did you actually have to, how long did it take? How many interviews did you have to do in order to find your current media buyer?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, in full transparency, I think I was quite lucky with my media buyer. I think I had around 10 calls, around that mark. 10 calls, quite a few more people kind of showed interest, but like there was like 10 calls that I had that I actually was being serious about potentially bringing on. But yeah, out of that 10, I found my media buyer. And as I say, I think I was quite lucky, to be honest, because it's like, just one of those people. And that was kind of going completely off topic, but something that I was more focused on, given that I knew I could generate results. So that side of the things I could teach, I can teach somebody how to do that. So something that I was more focused on is like them as a person, like how they were in terms of, their, like personality. Do I like them? Do they have that kind of initiative to just do stuff without like me asking? All that type of stuff. That's what I was more focused on. So it was probably slightly harder to find somebody, because I put those things on a pedestal as opposed to like the results. Funnily enough, he didn't actually show me any previous results because he didn't have any, So as I say, I kind of was focusing more on his traits and whatnot. But turns out he's a great media buyer as well. So quite lucky there.
So what's been the process of you trading him? Do you guys just do like a daily 1 hour call, or do you have a set couple of days where you train him up?
Yeah, so we kind of did more like hands-on with a client. So it kind of worked out really, really well, because when I brought him on board, I also had a new client that kind of onboarded roughly around the same time. So we both worked on that ad account together, so I kind of was able to just show him what I would do, and he was able to give his own input and see how I like operated and whatnot. And obviously with that client as well, like he was on all of like the bi-weekly calls and whatnot, so he could really just see how I operated, and also, as you say, more to your question, like see how I went about delivering results, and he kind of just mirrored that now for the other clients that we work with. It was kind of, I think we had 1 call a week, I think, but we also like sent a lot of voice notes through WhatsApp as well. So I was just able to kind of step by step with him with the new client, so it worked out quite well.
So another thing that I love to touch on is communication, both prior to your media buyer coming on and now with your media buyer. So do you guys have a monthly, a weekly, bi-weekly check-in call with clients? What do you do in terms of communication when it comes to clients?
Yeah, so with clients, we do bi-weekly. There's one client that we do weekly with, because their spend is anywhere from like 50 to 60K a month. So we like to do a weekly call with them, just to because obviously it's a lot higher than like your average client. So that client we do weekly, but they're super cool client, so I don't mind doing that. But like the set thing is like, bi-weekly calls.
So now does your media, how long have you had the media buyer?
Probably 2-3 months.
2-3 months. So now does the media buyer the media buyer is on the check-in calls, and like, does the media buyer communicate directly with your clients, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, they're in the Slack channel. My media buyer's in the Slack channel with the clients, and also he's on every onboarding call, check-in call as well. Actually, he was on my something that's quite unorthodox, but he was on the sales call as well on Friday that I was telling you about with that new client. He was on there as well.
What you do? I mean, for Danny's now we've transitioned to a 2-call close. So Danny does a 15-minute demo call, and then to be, I still prefer 1-call close. To be honest, it's just there's so many leads. Yeah, there's so many leads. I would do 1-call close if I didn't have so many people fucking with my schedule. If I just put my scheduler out there, I just get so many dud bookings. It aggravates me. So I can't put my scheduler out there. So our end of funnel has always been an application, and like applications get lost in translation. I'm very, very lazy. Even sometimes following up with applications, this, that. So I just said, fuck, I'm just going to make Danny's thing public, 15-minute demo call with him. Then if they're qualified, then they can have a call with me. So Danny obviously takes a demo call, but literally this evening we have a call with a new potential client, and Danny's going to be there too. So I don't think it's that unorthodox. I know why I do it. Curious to hear, why did you decide to have the media buyer on?
Well, in full transparency, it's because he kind of approached me about it. And that's kind of tying back in with what I was saying before about, him just having that initiative. Like, he just wants to understand stuff. And it's because also I know it's not like, because now he wants to go and build out his own agency. He's not trying to like see how I sell, whatever, he just genuinely wants to be a part of it. And I thought, why not, and he was able to pitch in certain areas when it came to, he was talking about, getting results and whatnot, so just gives and it also shows the client from like straight from face value, like, this is the team, this is kind of who we'll be working with if you do move forward, and at least for that, and that was the first time I've done it with him, and it worked really well. So
amazing.
That was kind of that's my thought process behind it.
So staying in the lane of being unorthodox, what's one opinion or viewpoint you hold regarding running an agency that you think is probably radically different to most people out there?
Funny you say that. Time back in what we were saying at the start, I personally think, I can't really speak on other niches because I don't have any experience. I only ever talk, from personal experience. I think in the e-com niche, I always say to bring somebody on board straight off the bat. I think that's something that, like, maybe not that unorthodox, but I just think that given my experience and also given the fact that I know I wouldn't have lost any of those clients if I had somebody on board, that's kind of been like kind of stung me way back when. So as I say, I would say that bringing somebody on board straight off the bat, kind of starting as you mean to go on, building a real business, having a proper team, not just as in your terms, being a glorified freelancer. I think that's something that I really stick to, that maybe somewhat unorthodox. I think going back, put it this way, going back, if I was to start all over again and I was to change one thing, it would be that I would have brought somebody on straight off the bat for sure.
Well, that's a good leeway into my next question, which is if someone's coming to you from scratch and they want to get to 10K a month with their agency, and we, not crazy timeline, let's not say 30 days, let's give them 12 months, right? A very lax, a very generous timeline of 12 months to get to 10K a month with their agency. What are the 3 things that they should focus on, or the 3 traits that they need to embody?
First things first, I would say bring somebody on. If you don't have any experience running ads yourself, then bring a team member on board who's got that experience to make up for kind of your lack of experience, if you like. So bring somebody on board straight away. If you've got experience, then I would also say go down the route that I kind of went down. Is like, don't put so much emphasis on what their previous results are like. Put more of an emphasis on who they are as a person. Have they got that initiative? What's their personality like? Do you even like them? That's another thing I don't think people really think about, So that's the first thing. Bring somebody on board straight off the bat, I would say. Second thing is I would triple down on something that's been proven to work time and time again. I think at least for your first couple clients to get your feet wet and whatnot. And then from there, you can go ahead and try and test new methods and whatnot in terms of outreach, at least. And then the third thing, kind of as you said, over like a 12-month period, look at things. This is something that I've really, really, developed in myself throughout my journeys. Start to look at things in a 12-month period, not in like a 7-day period. People always think like, oh, how do I get my first client in like my first day? It's like, yeah, you may. Yes, people have, but it's not that common. And if you do look at it in that way, and then you don't get your client in that first day, you're going to get so like just derailed. You're not going to have any consistency there. So as I say, I would start to look at things in a 12-month period as opposed to like a 12-day period, for example. So they're like the three things I'd say.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, that's pretty much about it. Yeah, that was awesome. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, of course, dude.